Well, yet another year has passed and we're all slightly older and slightly wiser. And if you're like me, then you're also a great deal more handsome. And also, like me, you'll be not much the wiser about films and the films industry. Yes, that's right, it's time for my second annual yearly Crap Awards video for films I saw in the last year. And for those not paying attention, that's 2011, yeah? Have you got that? Good. And the nominees for the best film I saw in 2011 are The Inbetweeners movie. Oh man, I have to admit, I laughed a lot. But the one thing I did more than laugh was cringe all the time. I can't honestly remember a film where I've cringed so much while watching it. Having said that, this film is great fun. Thor. Asgard just looks amazing, and also there appears to be nothing that Anthony Hopkins can't do when it comes to acting. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Potter, bitches. It's awesome. The end came as we knew it would, and once you eventually understand that not everything in the book can be put into a 2-hour film, it's everything you'd expect it to be. I saw part 1 at the cinema and it was just boring and nothing seemed to happen. And then for part 2 the director suddenly just woke up and then everything happened. Explosions went off willy-nilly, people died, and it was just far more fun and entertaining. X-Men First Class. Now this is where it's at, people. This is way better than the last 3 X-Men films and that Wolverine film where just everything blows up. The title is pretty much self-explanatory because it really is first class. And it was almost my film of the year. It came second, but it might as well have been joint first because I really can't choose between two. Oh, and I have to give Green Lantern a quick mention. It was mostly crap, sure, but the potential of what that power ring can do is virtually limitless. Oh yes, and the bad guy was voiced by Clancy Brown, a guy who's been the Kurgan in Highlander, Uka Uka from the Crash Bandicoot games, Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob SquarePants, and also Drill Sergeant Zim from Starship Troopers, which makes him simply the best. So by default, technically it makes the film good. And the winner of the best film in 2011 was Thor. Now, Thor was directed by Kenneth Branagh, as many people will know, a man who, over his career, has been in many Shakespeare productions, including Much Ado About Nothing, been in numerous films like Wild Wild West with Will Smith and Valkyrie with Tom Cruise, played Gilderoy Lockhart in Harry Potter.
Gilderoy Lockhart. Mum fancies him.
And of course, my personal favourite, he narrated this programme.
Diplodocus can live for 100 years, and above a certain size, they have no natural predators. Sauropods dominate the late Jurassic, and it will be millions of years before new dinosaur herbivores evolve to replace them. With their passing, life will never again be this large.
Yes, Walking with Dinosaurs, motherfuckers, it rules. And now he's given us Thor, a superhero movie with action and laced with Old Norse mythology. A man who has done all of these things simply cannot be criticised. It's against the law. Kenneth actually needs worshipping, so everyone join me in praising the awesome one. Master, Master, praise be to Kenneth Branagh. Yeah, a few people's acting is a bit dodgy in the film, actually, and the baddie was really underdeveloped. But I'm willing to overlook that. Actually, summer 2011 was alright for superhero movies. Plus, after watching Captain America, which again was brilliant, and the acting was top-notch, but I'm just tired of Nazis. I fall into the crowd of several million people who can't wait for the Avengers movie. I mean, I'm not really a comic book fan, but Avengers looks off the fucking chain. Moving on, the worst film of 2011. And the nominees are I Am Number 4. What did I just watch? Yeah, sure, the special effects were fantastic, but what was the story and what is the point of this film? Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. Now, at the time, when we went to the cinema, I wanted to go and see X-Men First Class. But no! Everybody else wanted to go and see this pile of shit. Paul. Now, as much as I love Nick Frost and Simon Pegg's past works like Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead, which is one of my top films of all time, I must remind you, obviously, and despite knowing most of the random references they put in throughout the film, I personally just found Paul majorly lackluster. I mean, I really liked the characters, and it was funny, but I just couldn't help but feel that there was something vital missing that would have made it a great film, and as it is, I didn't really enjoy it. Johnny English Reborn. Now, I love the first Johnny English film. I thought it was brilliant, but this was just a massive disappointment, and it felt more of a rehash than anything. And of course, worst film of the year category doesn't slip by without a brief mention of Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1. Because there are two parts to this film. Oh yeah, I mean, I've only seen two of these films, the original Twilight and Breaking Dawn Part 1, and I seriously started skipping after the halfway point, and this is coming from someone who sat through the entirety of Manos, The Hands of Fate, without fast forwarding.
But the child, I'm not sure the master would approve, or the dog.
Christ. And yeah, Breaking Dawn Part 1 sucked. I mean, I've forced myself to watch most of it. Online, obviously. Don't be ridiculous. I wouldn't pay to see this. It'd be a waste of a tenner. And from a cold, critical standpoint, it's pretty much what people have come to expect from these films. Cardboard acting, laughable and lame dialogue, and just nothing going on. To me, it's just so boring and empty that it's unintentionally funny. And honestly, that's all these films have ever had going for them. And the winner of the crappiest film in 2011 was Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. This was just a whole film of Johnny Depp as Captain Jack. They've seriously milked the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise dry now. I mean, what a waste of 10 quid and 2 hours of my life I will never get back. Not to mention the 3D. My God, that was shocking. Hang on, let me just read this. It's claimed technically as the first properly shot 3D film because Avatar was shot indoors on specifically designed sets. And nearly every other film since, obviously, has just slapped 3D on in post-production. So if this was filmed with actual 3D cameras, why does the 3D effect look so bollocks and just unbelievably slapdash? I was so happy to just leave when the film finished. And now for the more random categories. Smaller studio and independent films. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark and Scream of the Banshee. Did you see a completely random and shit horror film in 2011? Did you see either of these films? Well, no, probably. You've never even heard of them, to be quite honest. For example, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. Dude, Guy Pearce, what happened to you, man? You were in the time machine fighting Turbo Morlocks, damn it. And ever since The Road, possibly the most depressing film I've ever seen, you've just looked like a hobo. And yes, that really is Guy Pearce as a hobo. And while the film is kinda shit, it does have the creepy factor with the vindictive little shitty creatures. Are they demons or some twisted take on the Tooth Fairy myth? Your guess is as good as mine, because I don't care. Scream of the Banshee, however, is quite self-explanatory. In the 1100s, the legendary Irish Templar Knights, so legendary I've never even heard of them. Anyway, the legendary Irish Templar Knights decapitate a banshee with this new weapon. I'm going to show a clip of this. With a new weapon that randomly turns into a locked box to keep the head in for all eternity. And needless to say, in the present day, some dumbass American kids let it loose. And basically for an hour it shits people up, and if they scream, it kills them. And if they don't, it leaves them alone. Whatever. But despite these films being crap, you should definitely check them out, because smaller studios and independent filmmakers can sometimes produce some gems. So get looking, yeah? Attention Deficit Award. Okay, this award definitely goes to Human Centipede 2 because it can fuck right off. I'm not watching it, and no, I'm not a pussy. I've seen worse films, believe it or not. No, it's because the first Human Centipede film was so crap, it's easily one of the worst made movies I've ever seen in my entire life. There was no story to it, there was no real point to it, it was badly acted, badly written, badly directed, badly shot. You don't give a shit about any of the characters. The one bit part character that I gave half a shit about and thought might actually save the film got shot and died when he killed the baddie. And it was just a monstrous pile of shit. And that's why I awarded it worst concept for a film in my video last year.
Worst concept for a film. The award goes to Human Centipede. Again, let me just say, don't waste your fucking time. You can do much more productive things in 90 minutes. Because this film clearly didn't even take that long to dream up. It took 10 minutes to think up at best. And that's me being charitable.
And after reading the plot on Wikipedia, I have no doubt that the second film is just as crap. Plus, I have better things to watch, because I also have several other major release films I've yet to watch from 2011, including The Green Hornet, Sucker Punch, Source Code, Super 8, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and that new Turbo Sherlock Holmes thing. If I were to watch every single film that came out every year, I'd have no life whatsoever, and would probably turn into Roger Ebert version 2. Or perhaps just go mental. So Bad It's Funny award. Okay, I'm definitely reprising this award from last year, and I'm going to make it a regular. Because the winner of It's So Bad It's Funny award goes to last year's creator of Titanic 2, The Asylum, for their 2011 entry, Megapython vs. Gatoroid. Oh man, I haven't seen a funnier 86 minutes for a while, and I'm genuinely not being sarcastic or exaggerating at any point. I just laughed all the way through from start to end credits. The look, the effects, the sound editing, the acting, every single minute of this film is pure comedy gold. Plus the alligators and the snakes get a sort of a training montage halfway through the film. Just check this out. I simply love this film. It's up there with the greats like Zardos. Anyway, well, if I'm honest, with everything that went on in the world, regardless of like country, the state of the economy, news stories and daily life, 2011 was just an overall boring and depressing year. But I definitely had a blast with the films that came out during the year. Well, that's another year gone by. Hopefully in a year's time I'll see you in a 2012 video from me. Until then,